For those watching on television and on the internet, that's an old-style courtside hat that we used to give out at one time. We should bring those back, actually. They were pretty popular items at one time.
There's a bunch of them in the Wild Ones closet.
I have no doubt about that. It's Wheels and Tone, joined now by Dwight Jaynes, who's looking very. You been out on the houseboat? Is everything going well?
Not yet. I'm saving that for a little later. Nice warm evenings. Go out on the deck.
That's nice. Today though was a pretty good evening for that. A pretty good day for that, wasn't it?
I was working. Some of us don't get this kind of vacation stuff. I was working hard, man. I was at the office all day. Seriously.
See?
I'm embarrassed to tell you that, but
I was about to say that's because there's not enough news to write anything about you.
It takes a lot longer to come up with something.
Exactly.
Let me tell you.
Today in the news.
Yes. You sit there waiting for lightning to strike, and it doesn't strike.
Isn't it kind of funny that the NHL and NBA seasons end right about at the same time? The NHL doesn't have a moratorium on moves and everything.
I don't really understand the
moratorium.
I think it's kind of a waste of time. And let guys sign when they make an agreement. Why not?
Yeah, I did. They always say it's to get the new salary cap in order, but with as sharp as as money folks are, numbers folks are, does it take 10 days to really do that?
There was a reason originally there was a reason outside of the salary cap. I can't remember exactly what it was, but something happened and they went to the moratorium because when I came into the league, you signed on July 1st, and that was it. And that was up until about, 8 years ago? And then the moratorium
something like
came
that.
in?
You know, and the other thing, Tone, we'll never get rid of it now because the volume of publicity they've gotten during the moratorium, holy Toledo.
Right.
They've been on the cover of various sports pages. Remember those days?
Yeah, I do remember.
They've been on the cover of a lot of those old things for most of the last week.
I know we're going to get to some Blazers stuff, but I got to ask Dwight Jaynes, what shoe has to drop first for all the other signings? Because, if you look around, there's reports on Chris Bosh going to Houston. There's reports on LeBron going back to Cleveland or the Lakers or the Clippers. And then there's Melo and his drama. And so what shoe has to drop, do you think, for the other guys to fall in line?
I still think it's LeBron, and I still think the cap room's all being saved for him, and Melo's the consolation prize after that. And what I'm also hearing today, a couple of things. Number one, I keep hearing Bosh to Houston, he's waiting for LeBron. It's not the other way around in any way. He's waiting to see if LeBron flies the coop or if LeBron stays. If LeBron stays, he comes back. And the thing about it, Miami went out there today and signed a mid-level exception and a biennial exception.
Who they get?
They got
who they agree with?
They got Josh McRoberts for the mid-level. And we all knew, of course, someday Josh McRoberts would sign a $23 million contract.
The day the Blazers drafted him, I said, now there is a mid-level exception guy, should that be the case.
Absolutely. So anyway, those are full. And people think, well, that means now those guys won't go back. But actually it means they might because they didn't spend their cap room on a Isaiah Thomas, for example, or somebody that was going to take a lot of room. Now Bosh can get almost as much from Miami as he could in Houston, from what I understand, and they can max LeBron out. I think it's more likely. The other thing I heard, LeBron is being pressured from all kinds of sources in his inner circle to go back to Cleveland, which surprises me.
Wait.
Even his wife, they say, wants to go back.
Hang on. What did I tell you during the season?
You did say that. You said that you were hearing that he was going to go back.
That's the reports I got, and I think it's going to happen. Here's what I'll tell you, Dwight. I don't believe that – based on what we're hearing, Miami has done anything. They showed this year they're not good enough to win a championship as constructed.
Yeah.
Did they get better? No. Now, if what we're hearing is true, Miami didn't get any better. And if they didn't get any better, why would LeBron want to go back? There are better options, better suited options for him out there right now.
Wow. To me, if he wanted to go, I'd rather go to Phoenix than Cleveland. Better place
Phoenix
to live.
isn't home, though.
Huh?
Phoenix this is an
Well,
Akron.
you're right. No, you're right.
And let's be very clear. This is an Akron dude. He pronounces it left and right.
Yeah.
He wants the world to know he's an Ohio guy. And I think given the opportunity, and I said this, when we were in Cleveland, I was around some people that were very well connected with LeBron. And back then, this was what, February, something like that? Yeah. I was hearing that LeBron was going back to Cleveland.
Wheels, I went back today and read the letter that the owner of that franchise, open letter, wrote to LeBron. And it's like, how in the world will he ever go back and play for that owner? It was a nasty letter.
Well, it was a nasty letter, but it's still home.
Yeah.
And
business is business.
And nobody can Miami can offer him the max contract, but it'd be max, and he'll never win another ring.
Yeah.
Now, and the other guy that Adrian Wojnarowski reported today that supposedly is in line to sign for the lesser exception is Danny Granger. But you wonder, when LeBron talks about to Pat Riley, get me some help. I shouldered too much responsibility last year. Were these the guys that he was thinking of? I mean, Pat Riley supposedly, according to other reports, was talking to Luol Deng. Now, when Pat Riley was working some magic, that would be the kind of guy he'd get to take less money just to come to Miami for the chance to win a championship. If Luol Deng had reportedly agreed to something, I would say now that's the kind of guy that only Miami could get and only Pat Riley could get. But I not to diminish if it ends up going that way, the signings of McRoberts and Granger, but those seem to be a little underwhelming for what I thought Miami was going after or hoping for.
Yeah, I think we'd all agree with that. I think what we're seeing, though, is for especially younger players or even guys in the middle of their careers, you're not going to find too many guys anymore taking less so that somebody else can make more. Now, a veteran guy in his 30s or something wants to go back, try to win a ring or so, that's a little different.
But they can't help you, though. Yeah. Those guys can't get you a ring because they're past their prime, and nobody in their prime is going to pass up, $3, $4, $5 million a year to win a ring with LeBron. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah.
So the latest report from a couple of different sources, Chris Haynes being one, today was that Carmelo is really torn. That he's got the Lakers, he's got the Knicks, he's got the Bulls, and is having a hard time figuring out what his best option is. Do one of those scenarios seem better for him?
Well, here's his options, in my opinion. Stay in New York, get more money, and Phil Jackson is there. And I think there are people who believe he will build a winner. I have no idea. Number two, the best chance of winning, that's Chicago. I don't think there's any question about it. 3, L.A., not the best chance of winning. And people are saying if he picks L.A., he doesn't want to win. He's just going there for the money and the weather. Well, I say, I'll go for the weather. If I'm going to be a millionaire anyway, I'd rather live there than Chicago or New York. I don't know. I think we've seen in the past, guys do care about the weather. I mean, guys go to Orlando, they go to L.A., they go to Phoenix.
Sure.
I'll tell you what, people can say what they want, but that team, if Kobe comes back healthy, you add a Carmelo Anthony and Pau Gasol comes back and they hire the right coach, that's a pretty formidable threesome right there. And then you add some young guys around Randall and some other players. Having been a Laker, there's always a part of you that wants to see him do well. But then being a Blazer, there's a part of you that doesn't care.
How bad will they be if he doesn't go there?
If he doesn't go there, they'll be a high lottery team again next year. I mean, Kobe is great, but he can't shoulder at 35, 36. He can't shoulder that much of the load.
One of the names you just mentioned could be a guy that really swings the fortunes of wherever he ends up, and that is Pau Gasol. I mean, that's somebody that a lot of teams have been interested in. I know Mark Stein of ESPN said that Oklahoma City was the front runner a week or so ago, and that would make them a very scary team if he goes there. But there's a lot of teams that would love him, and he could, and especially if at this stage of his career, if he is willing to maybe take a little less. I mean, San Antonio was even thrown out as one of the teams. That would really be scary.
And they've actually got cap room, too. Yeah. Surprisingly enough, they win the title, and they're bringing their whole roster back. Everybody on the roster is coming back. They got them all re-signed, and they still have cap room.
Including Patty Mills, and even after the shoulder surgery,
they took care of him, right?
You know what? They should have. He helped deliver that championship, and that's the type of franchise they are, and that's why to me they're a model franchise. And it's funny. I had a chance to talk to Coach Stotts about it. I think that he sees that offense and that franchise, and I think the owner and I think the general manager Neil O'Shea, I think they all see that franchise as the type of franchise in this market that you can look at and say that's what we need to do.
Wherever Gasol ends up, though, that could, I mean, you think of all the teams interested, especially if it's a team that, is maybe one player away from a championship. I think, last year playing on a bad Laker team, I think maybe some of it, he still was 17-9 last year.
Yeah, but he's still not getting any better on defense. I'll tell you
that part is true.
That was a real problem last year.
That part is true. So if he goes to a team, especially if he goes to a team where he doesn't have to start or maybe doesn't have to play heavy minutes, but if he could be, one of your frontline people like he would be at Oklahoma City, that's scary
in that
proposition.
San Antonio offense, the way he can pass, man.
I actually would have loved to have seen him in a Blazer uniform next year because you've got LaMarcus, he's a starter. You've got Robin Lopez, he's a starter, and then you can slide that big fella between those two positions. You've got a great threesome. However, all things being considered, I think if everything we're hearing is true, the Blazers have done an excellent job of shoring up that reserve post position.
We're going to talk about that in just a little bit too, but the other thing that we want to talk about as well, a guy's name who was really floated around heavily right before the draft, and then we figured out on draft night that he wasn't going to be moved. I wonder how long it's going to take for Kevin Love's name to resurface again. Multiple reports of teams interested in him on draft night, but the Timberwolves pulling back and deciding not to go and do anything on that night. There wasn't anything that intrigued them enough, but I wonder if they'll start the season with him, or once everybody settles in where they're going to be, if maybe his name starts coming up again.
Well, you know, Wheels, he's going to be traded by the trade deadline. But between now and then, anything could happen. I think their best chance is usually right before the trade deadline. Somebody gets real desperate and needs that key player, and they're willing to make a move sometimes. It's probably not the most prudent move, but they're trying to win now. They're trying to go for it. And everybody wants to be that team that puts all in, everything, all the chips are in, let's go for it. And that's a kind of major trade you'll see. And they might be able, I don't know. He's brought more in offers than I thought he would. There's a lot of good players being offered for him.
But I think the problem that a lot of teams are going to have is he won't commit. He won't commit to signing a contract.
You're exactly right.
I personally think he's going to end up a Laker. I think he's going to hold out, and in a year from now, he'll end up in that purple and gold.
Yeah, I mean, if you believe like Ian Thompson of SI.com, he said that he thought a deal was going to be worked out with Cleveland, but there weren't enough indications that Love would sign with Cleveland when his contract was up, so they weren't going to make the deal and give up key pieces.
Even despite the old man commercials with Kyrie Irving, he still couldn't pull it off.
Those are great commercials.
Those are great commercials.
Very good commercials. So still, obviously, lots of discussion going on, lots of speculation. When we come back, we'll let Dwight weigh in on the move that the Blazers are rumored to be ready to make and what may still be in order for the Portland roster the rest of the way. We have to couch our words very carefully, especially when we get to this particular team.